Welcome. So this is your money and lifestyle channel. First, I want to say thank you for being here and I hope you'll subscribe above. Today, we're talking about how you want to stop renting and buy your first home. I think this is awesome and I'm really excited that you're here and that we're going to talk about this because this is the conversation that I have on the daily with different people who are looking to buy. So I think the number one thing that we want to go off here first is your mindset and wanting to buy this property, this home. And you definitely need a plan. And that's the first thing that we want to talk about is that you need a plan to get this done and for this to happen. And this can happen very quickly if you have the right steps and the right state of mind and, the mentality that this is going to happen, that you're going to do this. We definitely want to make sure that you do that. Now, when I say this, I mean things like write it down, like take a pen, write it down, and put down your goals and how it is that you plan to obtain this. And we're going to go through a couple of different steps and things that you really need to start thinking about now. Even if you want to buy a year from now, you need to start thinking about this now. So one of those things is credit. How's your credit? The credit's something that a lot of people don't check on the daily. You don't look at that. If you're not buying anything, a lot of people just don't check it, right? So you need to be aware of what your credit looks like. Are you familiar with freecreditreport.com? That's a free service where you can check your credit and see how it's doing. And it'll let you know what's out there. You want to see, because a lot of times you might not even know, and there's things that are coming up on reporting on your credit that are negatively affecting your credit. So you want to make sure that you get to the bottom of it and those things are removed. You might have to pay it off. You might have to pay $100 to AT&T because they, when you disconnected service, you didn't return like a remote control or something. So typically, like things like that, those are the things that will surprise you that are on there, and a lot of times people don't even know. So that's one thing, your credit. Next thing I want to talk to you about is your job. So do you have a job? Because guess what? No lender is going to lend you any money if you do not have a job. So the lenders will require a 2-year work history. So you have to have had a job for 2 years. If there's a gap in between, so for example, you switch jobs and you were without work for 2 weeks or a month, that's acceptable, but we will require a letter of explanation explaining why it was that gap occurred. But typically they're looking for 2 solid years of work history. So that's very important. And the next thing that we're going to talk about is money, right? Because if you're buying a property, you're definitely going to need money. And boy, that's a tough one, right? Because it's so hard to save money. And on that note, I have a great video about saving money. So I hope that you will check that one out in this series of mortgages. So how do we save money? How do you come up with a bulk sum of money? It's so hard to come up with like $100 to go to dinner sometimes, let alone money for down payment, thousands of dollars. So typically speaking, if you're looking for the low down payment options, you're going to be looking at options with FHA or Fannie Mae, and they typically will allow you to come up with a minimum of down payment of 3% to 3.5% down payment, right? So if you're talking about a $100,000 home, you're looking at 3% to 3.5%, $3,500, okay, plus closing costs. So how did we get $3,500 plus closing costs, which is, let's say $10,000 for closing? How do we come up with that? Well, there are a couple of things that you can do to come up with these a lump sum of money, right? Because that's what we're looking for, large amounts of money. So your number one thing that I always tell borrowers is your tax return. So your tax return is an awesome way to get a large sum of money because we typically don't get $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 handed over to us once a year. So this is a great way for us to grab that money, forget you even got it, and put it away. Put that money away so that when you are looking to buy this home, you already have at least a cushion, a base of money that you have saved. All right. Another way is look around your house and what do you have? Do you have a boat? Do you have a motorcycle? Do you have expensive piece of jewelry, something of value that you can sell so that you can buy your property? Okay, all of these things are things that you can do to get you closer to that step of buying your first house. So these are typically the things that I would say are your baseline and the things that you have to start thinking about. This isn't really the plan, this is just what you need to start thinking about to go ahead and buy your first house. Because you don't want to rent forever, right? I mean, you don't want to pay somebody else's mortgage because that's what you're doing. You're helping this guy get his house paid off. But why wouldn't you make it your own? Why wouldn't you do your own? Another thing I wanted to mention was gifts. So for example, your mother wants to give you $5,000 for your closing. That's allowed. your grandmother wants to give you $5,000 for closing. That's allowed. So I would definitely say to ask. I would definitely say to think about someone who can give you a gift. It has to be a relative, right? But you can definitely do it, and it's definitely acceptable. And I have to say, if a parent or family member sees that you are going to, especially a parent, right, are going to make a decision to buy a home and get yourself, started, and the stable lifestyle and everything, I think they're definitely going to want to be a part of that, and they're more likely to contribute than you might think. So 100% they're going to say no if you don't ask, but if you ask, you never know, they might help you. I hope that you like the information that I've given. I will be putting out other videos in relation to this and in the series of mortgage and buying, because that's what I do. I'm a mortgage lender, and as a mortgage lender, I know the questions that people are looking for answers to. And I hope that you will subscribe and that you will hit the little like button if you liked it, and check out the link below for freecreditreport.com in case you guys want to go out and check your credit report. You can go ahead and do that, and I hope that I'll see you again. Take care.